Good morning. What's going on there, folks? It is the Earthmaster here. A little under the weather, but I am here nonetheless. See if we can't get through this update without any issues for the most part. It is Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, about 10:46 a.m. here along the West Coast in California. And the latest earthquake shows looks like a 4.9 coming into the area of Russia. This activity comes following a 6.5 over here around Afghanistan. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here on the USGS map as we zoom in to this earthquake in Afghanistan, eastern Afghanistan, pretty deep, 187 kilometers. For a 6.5, this one originally coming in as a 6.8 from the EMSC model. It is in a zone that does see quite a bit of deep earthquake activity up here in the mountains. Should say underneath these mountains, a couple different plate dynamics here at play when it comes to producing these deeper quakes. Excuse me. Goodness, I don't know where I picked up this cold, but it pretty much came out of nowhere. It's really weird. Nobody else here in the household had it. I don't really go out too often, so just a little on the strange side. Something in the air, I guess. All right, so we got that 6.5 within the last hour. Looks like it just dropped off the hour threshold there with the orange circle. Now we got a 4.9 up here, much further away from the plate boundary here into the Russia region, 10 kilometers deep. And let's see, we did have one up here last week or so, I believe, but I'm just checking historical data, seeing what we have out here, and goodness, it doesn't look like there's a lot of earthquake activity out here historically. So this is a little odd one. I do pay attention to these odd earthquakes in terms of historical data. So this one's kind of a head scratcher here. Let me see what we got for the last week of activity. Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew there was one somewhere nearby. This one coming in a couple days ago, a 5.0, very close to today's 4.9. So that's a little strange to see two earthquakes in a region that normally doesn't see a lot of historical data, earthquake activity. So these two earthquakes within days of each other. So something brewing out here. I believe it's firmly got to do with the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench in this whole area of the northwestern portion of the plate. Definitely continue to keep that in mind there. As far as the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench goes, well, we're waiting. Eventually this thing's going to produce a megaquake. It's been a little while since we've seen any sufficient large-scale movement on here. I'm talking about above a 7.0. Let's see, nothing today so far. Had two earthquakes from yesterday and up around the Aleutian Trench. Let's see what we got, if there's anything new popping off here. Looks like a couple smaller quakes around the volcanoes here. This 2.8 coming in, 4.5 kilometers deep. Notice the swarm has kind of died off a little bit, but this will variate a little bit depending on the pressure gradients up here along the Pacific plate and the North American plate up north. Goodness. I guess I'm going to load up on vitamin C today. I should have done that yesterday, but yeah. All right, a little bit more activity up here around this specific volcano into the Aleutian Trench area. Overall seismic activity, though, across the Alaska region looks to be somewhat elevated here over the last 24 hours. So we'll watch for some further movement up on the northern end. All right, West Coast activity. Did see some movement up here into the Pacific Northwest yesterday. That has since kind of died off slightly. In the Northern California, one earthquake outside of the Santa Rosa area, 2.4 near Roseland. 1.6 kilometers deep, just off of the, see where that's at, the Rogers Creek Fault Zone, south of the Clear Lake Volcanic Field. One earthquake up here too, into the northern end of the San Andreas Fault, but that was from yesterday. Not a whole lot else going on up here around the Northern California region. And for the most part, throughout central and southern California area, things look relatively, well, about what they did yesterday. Somewhat active, but not overactive in terms of any major swarms. 1.7, the latest quake here. Just outside of Pomona into the Los Angeles jungle. The San Andreas Fault looks pretty quiet for now. A little bit of movement up against the mountain range here in Utah. It's been a while since we've seen any significant swarming out here. I remember earlier this year and a good portion of last year, we've seen specific swarms out here in Utah up against the mountain ranges. That has been awfully quiet. But overall, that's a general sign of, well, regional stress and the pressure momentum out here. You can see North American plate. Right now, though, just a little activity into the Milford, Utah area. Very small microquakes out here in the negative department. All right. Up into Yellowstone, looks like a couple small earthquakes here. One from yesterday and one from today. Let's see what we got for Yellowstone activity. There is the signature of the 6.8. I can see it showing up here on the Maple Creek area. This one kind of looks like it was a long duration earthquake there in Afghanistan. Of course, that being picked up, thousands of miles away. This equipment is very sensitive in terms of vibrations and whatnot. But as far as earthquake activity goes, maybe a couple of them throughout the Pitchstone Plateau area. A couple small, very small microquakes overall. Yellowstone looks pretty quiet. All right, New Madrid seismic zone. Did see a couple smaller quakes here. Today it looks like. One within the last couple hours, a 1.6 and a 2.1 here in the New Madrid seismic zone, which is it's a very dangerous area here for this portion of the country. Covers many states. It is capable of producing some significant earthquakes. Been since the early 1800s. So stress is definitely building out there. One earthquake outside here of the Rio Grande, Ohio area. 2.5, 5 kilometers deep. The rest of the country looks pretty quiet. Movement here into the Costa Rica area from yesterday. A couple smaller quakes in that region. A glance at the... Hey now. What does that makes me... Okay, you guys see that? That makes me think that someone's up to no good here. Doing a little funny business in the background with that app. You guys see that? And that's specifically going to be the seismograph viewer, which kind of looks like it's offline currently. It doesn't look like any data is coming in, and I'm not for sure why, but yeah, it's a little weird. All right, we'll just continue to roll on here. Earthquake activity across the Middle America Trench, a little bit quieter today is noted. Just a couple small quakes around the Costa Rica area. Movement into South America. Did see some further activity kicking up here into the Chile area. 5.6 coming in early this morning, it looks like. Let's see, USGS not picking up on it yet, but we do see on the globe a little noticeable uptick in movement here across the area. As noted here, some 2s and 3s, and including that 5.6. That looks, it looks like it's right there on the Chile coastline. All right. Looks like EMSC is reporting that as a 5.0 up here into the Russia area. Across Greenland here, got a 4.4. Or I mean, yeah. Greenland area, 4.4. Over here is a 3.5 near Iceland. That, let me see where that's at. Specifically, that 4.4. I wonder if the USGS is reporting it. Yep, they're reporting the 4.4 just off the coast here of Greenland into this little bay. Not for sure what it's called, but it's been a while. Man, I can't remember last time we've seen a little earthquake activity here. 10 kilometers deep. And of course, we had some smaller quake activity here in Iceland, as noted on the on this globe, a little 3.5. But for the most part, the Atlantic Ocean out here looks very quiet. Not a whole lot of movement out here in the divergent boundaries of the plates. All right, movement across Turkey, still looking fairly active, including a 4.0 that's coming in right now into the Turkey region. Some of this activity from yesterday. And there's that 6.5, Eastern Afghanistan. Not a whole lot going on throughout the Java Trench region, just 3.7. Looks like it's come to a halt there. A little bit of activity south here into the Philippines region. We did see, you guys remember that super deep earthquake here? Was it yesterday or the day before? Very deep earthquake into the region here. It's going to be this one, 4.5. Well, it looks as though we're getting a pretty good swarm upstream here as expected on the earthquake 3D globe. Not for sure why it's not showing that deep earthquake. There we go. Looks like it was off the 24-hour threshold. Sometimes it does that. So last 24 hours here now on the globe. But either way, deep earthquake activity upstream from that very deep earthquake there along the Philippine Trench. We'll continue to watch that region. Let's see what we got here. 4.7 and 3.1 down south. Let's see what's going on. Vanuatu area had a 4.7 early this morning, about 4 o'clock. Fiji area, Tonga Trench, all looks pretty quiet for now. Let's check out New Zealand here with the earthquake map and see what we got going on here. There we go. Let's see here, all magnitudes. A couple minutes ago, we had a 2.0. It looks like outside of the Wellington area. A little bit of movement into our swarming region today. Let's see where that 3-pointer is. There's a 2.8 that got deleted. 5.1 up along the Kermadec Trench, it looks like, about an hour or so ago. Let's see. I am not seeing that 3.5. It's very possible, when this 3.5 came in, and the 3.1, that's down in South Island. Let's see when the timestamp was here. That was at 10:05 a.m. my time. So that's just about an hour ago. 10:05. About an hour ago. Let's see here. Oh, it's going to be this one right here. So at 6:05 a.m. local time here to New Zealand. They're living in the future. March 22nd already. That got deleted. The EMSC is still reporting that earthquake on the globe for some reason. I'm sure they'll get to it. But this earthquake came in probably due to the seismograph waves from the 6.5 in Afghanistan. The GeoNet servers tend to have some type of issue with their seismographs when it comes to putting out early earthquake activity as far as preliminary earthquake parameters here for New Zealand. Because large earthquakes do send out waves across the globe, as noted here on Yellowstone, right? We've seen that popping off here. That's a seismograph wave. That's a little overblown. Not for sure what's going on with that station, but as you can see, 6.5s will show up pretty much anywhere across the globe. And if you don't have a properly tuned seismograph station, or at least the software that recognizes a distant earthquake versus a local earthquake, then you get GeoNet putting out an earthquake, a false earthquake here from a distant, very distant, large earthquake. But let's see what else we have here. Alrighty. Let's check out the swarming activity here, if there is swarming going on. Drums, volcano drums. Oh, they got this one back up and running here. Goodness, it's going to be one of those days, folks. Never fails. All right, earthquake activity here. This station had been down here for a couple days. Looks like that's back up and running. This is where the swarming area is occurring. North Island, New Zealand, around the Mount Tarawera area. Looks like activity is still continuing there. In this specific region, 3:22, that's correct time. Very small microquake activity, but it still looks like there's an ongoing swarm. Doesn't look, though, like any of this is too big. Otherwise, it would be showing up on the other seismograph stations locally within the vicinity, and I'm just not seeing that on the volcanic drums or the earthquake drums out here in New Zealand. That's from last night. But yeah, up in that area, specifically in that area, I'm not really seeing a whole lot. Taupo supervolcano is, of course, on the volcanic map. I didn't see anything on there. All right, let's move on here and see if we forgot anything. There's that 5.6 coming into the Chile area, Santiago, Chile, 65 kilometers deep. A little slow, but hey, better late than never, right? EMSC was really quick to jump on that. EMSC model is one of the more quicker earthquake agencies out here, but also at the same time, they've been known to put out some false earthquakes as well. Not quite as much as GeoNet, but I think the USGS is a little bit different of a preliminary data system. Sometimes it takes a review by a seismologist there before they put out the earthquake for the earthquake catalog. Has been reviewed by a professional. That's the earthquake right there in Chile, 5.6. So definitely, as we notice here on the Earthquake 3D Globe, some certain areas to watch today. Big time movement over here across eastern Afghanistan. That deeper activity should trigger. Let's go to the plate movement map up here. Kind of hard to see specifically on this map, but a good portion over here. There's a little, got subduction zones up there, right, that run across the area. With that deeper activity, we should see pressure possibly transfer over here, up around. Let me get back on the map here. Back around this area, northern India, Myanmar area. We'll continue to watch these regions here, but also can't forget about local seismic or local fault systems here within the region either. That could show some further activity. Deeper quakes do definitely do trigger some shallower quakes out there. So let's just continue to watch that. Big Island, Hawaii. One earthquake here, 2.5 Pahala, 31 kilometers deep. Looks like things starting to pick back up there into that region. All right, let's see what else is there. Just a little scattered brain this morning. Yeah, goodness. I'm going to load up here on vitamin C right after this update. I did just take a hot shower, try to clear myself out, but doesn't seem like it helped at all. Probably elevated my fever once again. All right, let's see what we got. Big coronal hole, number 86. Missing our latest imagery here. Oh, there it is. It is now into position, Earth facing, that is. And we'll continue to watch this one. We should get a little glancing blow here towards the weekend time period as we see those charged particles escaping, being blown out there, so to speak, and shooting out towards the Earth a little bit. Although it's not perfectly lined up as I would want it, we still may get a glancing blow. But right now the 3-day forecast looks pretty green, meaning that there's no elevated chance of auroras in the coming days. All right, quick glance here at the sunspot activity. Still kind of watching this regional sunspot here, getting a little development within this structure of something we may need to watch. This one's pretty massive as well, but I think individually, this specific sunspot noteworthy to keep an eye on. And of course, a new sunspot region up here on the northeastern quadrant of the sun. Behind this large sunspot, we got another regional sunspot down here. We'll keep an eye on. Looks like it could return to active conditions here throughout the week and weekend. 95% chance for a C flare, M flare at 25% chance, X flare remains somewhat elevated at 5%. Do have a couple. Here's a UV filter. Let me see here. We got a prominence right here. Kind of hard to see on that one. A little bit more visible here. That's kind of too bad that wasn't directly facing here and blasting off. But it's kind of up there on the northern section of the sun. Might have to watch out for some. Let's see if that might take off. Produce a CME up there. There's a look at these features of the sun on the other side. The eastern side of the sun looks pretty promising. We'll watch out here in the coming days for sure. All right, let's see what else is there. I think that's about it, folks, for the space weather activity. Oh, let's see. Goodness, I got schoolwork I got to do today too, man. I just don't feel like it. But got to get it done. Regions here, weather activity. Got rain coming into California today with a low pressure system parked roughly just south of the Bay Area. That's going to bring in some heavy duty rainfall into California, all the way down south too, into Baja California. A lot of snow up in the mountains once again, and that's just going to sit there and spin for a little bit before we have a break tomorrow and the next day. And then it looks like we got another storm system coming back in with some more rain and snow towards the first week of April, though. Looks relatively quiet. Looks like we may be drying out slightly here for April. I'll continue to watch that, as those long-range models tend to be a little bit on the questionable side. But for today, looks like that's going to be it. Rain in the forecast. The 3KM NAM model shows specific areas to watch. We could get some thunderstorms maybe into Northern California here. Kind of looks like there's a line of storms that want to develop here around the Sacramento Valley a little bit later. With this low pressure system parked off here in that south flow, that definitely could trigger a little bit of thunderstorms. Let's see what we got here for the forecast. Thunderstorm outlook here over the morning and afternoon time period. Looks like best chance here this morning and afternoon, early evening, for some thunderstorm potential. Big weather threat coming up here on the day 3 outlook, and also day 4. Got some severe weather potential, slight risks throughout Texas and Oklahoma on the day 3 outlook. It's getting to be that time of year, right? Springtime. And that's when the weather starts to really potentially ramp up across those areas. Alrighty, guys. Have a good one. I'm going to get out here and try and just medicate myself and hopefully get rid of this cold as quick as I can. I think it's a cold. I don't know. It's just definitely weird. Not into my lungs. My throat doesn't really hurt. It's just mostly into my sinuses and my head. Kind of feels like a head cold in a way, with a little bit of elevated temperature, fever. So I don't know. It's weird. Alrighty, chicken noodle soup, right? Maybe some chicken noodle soup and 7-Up. That's kind of what I had when I was a kid. My mom would always give me that and kind of help out a little bit. That and some sherbet. Could think of all sorts of remedies from my childhood that kind of made me feel better at the time. Alright, guys, have a good one. We'll catch you back here a little bit later on tonight, unless something major happens. Till then, take care, have a good one, and stay safe. Looks like the seismographs are offline for some... There they are, now they're back. What is going on here? Speaking things into existence. Better go play the lottery today, I guess. We'll catch you guys back here a little bit later. Have a good one.